What is going on, Pats Nation, and welcome back into another episode. Guys, with free agency, I don't want to say wrapped up, but free agency officially dying down. We're getting past that first wave. We'll have a second, we'll have a third wave, but for now, while things are calmed down, I want to start transitioning over on into the NFL draft, because the draft, guys, it is right around the bend. I mean, it is just over a month away. We haven't done any mock drafts yet, so we are going to start flooding this channel with mock drafts, with draft related content. As a lot of you guys might know, your boy was at the Senior Bowl. Got to meet people like Taylor Kyles, got to meet a lot of different people in the media. I was there on behalf of Roundtable Sports. I was there every day of practice. Wasn't there for the game, but I did watch the game on TV. So I got to talk to a lot of these players. I got to get interviews with a lot of these players. I saw these players one-on-one. I got to see the things from the Senior Bowl with these guys at the Senior Bowl that the TV broadcast is just not going to show you. I got to see how they interacted with other players. I got to see the character, but I also got to see what they were like on the field from a football standpoint on a rep-to-rep basis. So you already know we're going to be taking a lot of Senior Bowl players here. Very big on a lot of the players that were there. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into this. Now, with this being said, because this is our first mock draft here on this channel, we're going to start with doing something that I always start with, and that is a mock draft with no trades. Essentially, why I like to start out with a mock draft with no trades is because I like to look at the different angles that the team could potentially go. If for some reason the Patriots don't make a trade at specific spots, now you can go back to this mock draft and say, well, you know, this is a player that maybe realistically with that original pick, they could target. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and let's hop into this. If you guys need me to change where I am on the screen or anything like that, just let me know in the comments. But let's just get this thing rolling. By the way, guys, Roundtable Sports Draft Show, Draftaholics. We are live every single Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. It was 5:30. Now it's 6 p.m. Eastern. So make sure if you guys want more draft-related content for the entire league, not just for the Patriots, make sure to tune into Roundtable Sports Draftaholics in just under an hour. We're going to be doing a mock draft with trades post NFL free agency. But let's go ahead and let's start this thing up. So, okay. Interesting. All right. So Travis Hunter goes number 1. Abdul Carter goes number 2. And Mason Graham goes number 3. As crazy as this sounds, I don't think this is the most unrealistic thing. Now, I do think that Cam Ward is going to go in the top 3. I don't know. I don't believe in this narrative that two quarterbacks, Shedeur and Cam Ward, are both going in the top 3. I guess in a perfect world, okay, that's great for the Patriots because that means you're getting Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. I just don't see it happening. But I could see the board falling this way because the quarterback class this year is just not good. But as I mentioned, we're not going to trade. If we were doing a mock draft with trades, I would 100% trade. I think this would be the perfect spot to trade. But at number 4, who realistically could the Patriots go after? I'm going to be honest with you guys. There's nobody at 4 that I like. Like in a perfect world, Abdul Carter is at number 4, but he's not. When it comes to Ted McMillan, I think drafting Ted at number 4 would be way too soon. From all the reports that I've heard, despite his arm length, whether I like it, whether you guys like it, the Patriots are still in on Will Campbell in this draft. So he's still somebody they could potentially look at. I also don't love him at 4. I'm in on Tyler Warren, believe it or not. He can kind of be that Rob Gronkowski that the Patriots have so infamously had in that Josh McDaniels system for so long. I'm not against him. I know that a lot of people have Matthew Golden above Ted McMillan for the Patriots. I personally don't. This is tough. This is tough off the bat, especially with no trades. I'm between Ted McMillan and Will Campbell, but I don't want to get flamed for drafting Will Campbell. The way that I see this is if you draft Will Campbell and he doesn't work out at left tackle for you, which I think is completely overblown. Everybody's getting way too into the minutia of this. Everybody's trying to say, oh, well, he has 32-inch arms, so he's not going to be a tackle. I remember when where offensive linemen had 33-inch arms, everybody blew it up the same way. He can't be a tackle. He has 33-inch arms. And then I believe it was Rashawn Slater who went out with 33-inch arms and is one of the best tackles in the league. And everybody's like, okay, well, maybe you actually can do it with 33-inch arms. I get it. It's another, half an inch shorter, 3/4 of an inch shorter. But I do think that Will Campbell has all of the mechanics. He has all the intangibles. He has the burst off of the line running an insane 40-yard dash that I do still think he's going to be a good tackle in the league. But worst case scenario, you bump him into left guard, which is another massive hole, gaping hole for the Patriots right now. There's nobody slated in to start at left guard. Worst comes to worst, he ends up being your franchise left guard, which I don't think is necessarily a terrible situation for you either. The way that I'm looking at this right now is if I go Ted McMillan, do I like the tackles that I could get later in the draft? On the opposite, if I go Will Campbell, do I like the wide receivers that I can get later on in the draft? Based off of what Elliott Wolf and Mike Vrabel have said, they believe that the draft is actually better as the draft goes on. They don't think that this is the type of draft where the best players are at the top, where there's a bunch of blue chip players in the beginning of the first round. When it comes to a position like wide receiver, they've said themselves that they believe like the meat and potatoes of the wide receiver class is actually later on. It's in those mid to later rounds. And I completely agree. Your Jalen Knowles, your Jaden Higgins, your Jalen Royals, all of those guys I think are going to be really good receivers, and they're not going till somewhere between rounds 2 to 4. So I'm actually going to go tackle here. I think tackle is a bigger need than wide receiver, okay? We're not having this discussion again. I'm gonna say it. I say this all the time, but I'm going to say it again. The offensive line is like an engine to your car, right? You can put all the sexy little attributes on the car you want. You can get a paint job. You can put in the cool little LED lights. You can make the car look great. But if the car doesn't run properly, you're not showing that car off. That car's not going anywhere because the main function of the car is messed up. And that's what it's like for the offensive line. Everybody's saying the Patriots need to find a new running back because Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson were so bad. No, they're not. Antonio Gibson was a 1,000-yard rushing running back like 2 years ago. Ramondre Stevenson, we know is a good running back. But running backs, they need blocking. They literally cannot do their job if they do not have blockers up front. You're not going to get your return on investment for Drake Maye if you do not keep him protected. Do you want Drake Maye getting injured? No, you want Drake Maye to play in the league as long as humanly possible. And the way to do that, the way to protect his longevity is by making sure he gets hit as least as possible. Also, we know Drake Maye can excel the offense past its limitations when he actually has the time to sit in the pocket and make a throw and deliver off script. Also, having a good offensive line, keeping Drake Maye upright longer will allow the receivers an extra second or two to get open and get open in and out through their routes. I don't think taking a receiver early on is going to minimize the deficiencies of the O-line. I don't think that's realistic. You can have your number one wide receiver, but if your quarterback's not protected long enough to get through his dropbacks, to get through his reads, or to even see that you're open, the receiver's not going to get the ball. So I'm going to go tackle here. And this is where I'm going to send it to you guys. I want this to be a little bit more interactive. So whoever gets the most votes is the guy we're going to go with. At number 4, do you guys want Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks? Personally, I would take Will Campbell here, but Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks? Let me know in the chat. Let's see. We got Campbell, Kelvin Banks. Will Campbell. All right, Will Campbell wins. Will Campbell got more than enough votes compared to Banks. It was getting close there, though. It was getting close, but Will Campbell, 6'6", 323 pounds. He has the size. He has the length to be able to play tackle. Honestly, you put him in at guard, I think he'd just be a massive guard, and I don't love the idea of that. He had a bit of a down year this past year, but I think that was more so because of the quarterback play at LSU. First year without Jaden Daniels, and it felt like the quarterback for LSU was just constantly running the way of Will Campbell, was constantly running into Will Campbell, really just made Will Campbell look worse than he actually was. But you saw in 2023 when Will Campbell, LSU, they had Jaden Daniels. They had an elite quarterback. They had a guy that could escape the pocket, escape the pressure. It made Will Campbell look really, really good. And Will Campbell's coming into a situation where he's going to have a quarterback like Drake Maye that can do those exact same things. Just like Jaden Daniels, Drake Maye can create off script. Just like Jaden Daniels, Drake Maye is going to be mobile. He was one of the best mobile quarterbacks in the NFL this past year. He's going to be able to escape the pocket, escape the pressure. So I think what you're getting out of Will Campbell is more of a 2023 version in which he allowed 0 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, and 12 hurries. Like I alluded to, everybody's going to be up in arms about, the popular reports about, his arm length is short, so he's not going to be a tackle. I think that he has such good intangibles. I think he has such good get-off speed off of the line that these things aren't going to matter. Your technique and how talented you are, to me, matters a lot more than your overall arm length. So I actually feel confident about Will Campbell. And like I said, worst case scenario, now he's your starting left guard and he's all pro. For anybody new that is joining, Jaden Higgins went early. Actually, I don't think that's unrealistic either. I think Jaden Higgins could be an early second-round pick. There's even some reports that he could be a back end of the first-round pick. I don't know about all of that, but wow, Jaden Higgins off the board for the Patriots already, goes to the Jags. Great pick for them, but damn, I wanted him here. But for those who are just joining, we are doing our first ever mock draft 1.0, and I always start my first ever mock draft doing it with no trade. So for those saying, why would you take him at 4? It's because with all of these picks, we are staying pat to make it as realistic as possible, right? So if come draft day, the Patriots only make 2 trades and it comes in the mid rounds, you can say, well, they picked at 38, they picked at number 4, they stayed pat. What did Patriots Global do in his first ever mock draft and who was on the board? So we're here at 38. Let's see who went. Matthew Golden goes to the Broncos. That's a great pick. Emeka Egbuka goes to the Steelers. That's another really good pick. Kelvin Banks didn't go till 17 with the Bengals. Are they really going to go another tackle? I don't know. I'm a big fan of Mike Green. He goes on early here, 11 to the 49ers. James Pierce, hot take. I think James Pierce might fall out of the first round. Massive, massive character concerns. If any Patriots fan is mocking James Pierce, I'm telling you right now, take him off your board. The Patriots are not drafting James Pierce. He was projected to be the second best edge rusher in this class, but teams are taking him off their boards completely because of reported massive character concerns. Now, we don't know exactly what these character concerns are, but it has to be bad enough for teams to be completely taking them off of their boards. And knowing that Mike Vrabel and the Patriots, they are heavily prioritizing a player's character, I don't think that James Pierce, even if he falls to the second, is going to be an option for the Patriots. But we go tackle. Let's see who's on the board. I'm thinking edge rusher here, or Shador's still on the board. How crazy is that? But I'm thinking edge rusher here. I'm a big fan of Quinshawn Judkins. He's my favorite realistic option for the Patriots at running back. I think he's going to be a second-round pick. I don't think the Patriots need to go that early at running back. But I'm thinking we go edge rusher or wide receiver. Well, let's see who's on the board at tight end. All right, so both of the projected first-round tight ends did go off the board in Mason Taylor and Colston Loveland. Big fan of both of those guys. Elijah Arroyo is still on the board. Some have said that teams view him as a potential first-round tight end. He was really, really good at the Senior Bowl. Upside as a blocker, but I think really showcase himself as a receiver. I'm not that high on Elijah Arroyo, though. Not this high. Mason Taylor is a guy that I really like. He's not much of a blocker, but he's a really, really good receiving threat at tight end. But I don't think we need to go tight end this early on, especially for the value. So let's pull up wide receiver. Let's pull up edge rusher. So Ayo Manor, I know that a lot of people have been high on him. I don't have him on my board for the Patriots. I'm not big on him at all. I actually think that he's going to fall. I know PFF has him high. I don't think that he's going to go as high as PFF thinks. I think he's going to be more like a third or fourth round pick and not a high second. Jack Besh is a guy that I really like. Landon Jackson makes a lot of sense for the Patriots. Struggled early on in the Senior Bowl, but as each practice went on, he got better and better. This guy is massive. Got an interview with him. He was one of the first interviews, at least one of the first reported interviews that the Patriots had at the Senior Bowl. Really good character, has the size, has the length, has the versatility all over the defensive line, feels like a Mike Vrabel guy. So Landon Jackson is definitely a possibility. Jack Sawyer, man, I'm a massive, massive fan of Jack Sawyer. So he's definitely a possibility here too. Jalen Knoll. So Jalen Knoll is like a 5'11", 6-foot receiver coming out of Iowa State. He's actually teammates with Jaden Higgins. He was more of a slot guy. Now he played some outside at Iowa State. We at Roundtable Sports actually got to ask Jalen Knoll if he would feel comfortable playing the outside at the NFL level. And he said he would 100% be okay with that, be comfortable. But I think he's more of a slot receiver. Now, I've had Patriots fans tell me we have a bunch of slot receivers. Why would we draft a slot receiver? No, we don't. Javon Baker is not a slot receiver. Kendrick Bourne is not a full-time slot receiver. Jalen Polk, he can play in the slot, but he's also not a full-time slot receiver. There's nobody that's currently on the roster that fits that Josh McDaniels classic slot receiver. There's no Jacoby Myers on this roster. There's no Julian Edelman. There's no Wes Welker. That role needs to be filled, and I think Jalen Knoll is someone who would fit that mold perfectly. Really good route runner, really good technician, gets open very well, short, intermediate, and deep because of his footwork, because of how well he runs routes. That's somebody I'm looking at, but I think this early on doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm going to be honest, there's no receivers that are on the board right now that I like this early. Like Jalen Knoll, Jalen Royals. I like Trey Harris. I'm not huge on him, but I do like his upside. I think he can be plugged into like that A.J. Brown type of role that we know Mike Vrabel's looking for. But I think this is way too early for him. So honestly, I'm going to look at edge. I do like Xavier Restrepo. He also was at the Senior Bowl. I was a little disappointed with what I saw. Thought he was going to perform a little bit better. But again, that classic small slot receiver, very shifty, really good from a mechanical standpoint. So he's someone who's on my board. But honestly, going back to Jalen Knoll here, at the Combine, Jalen Knoll finished top 5 in every single category for wide receivers. I think Jalen Knoll is going to come out as one of the best wide receivers from this draft class, and I just think he's heavily slept on. But I think from a value standpoint, I think this would be another good trade down option. But I think we're going to go with edge rusher here. The Patriots get that next big guy. They get their future at edge opposite of Harold Landry. I think Harold Landry is more of a finisher. I don't think he's like a true number one edge rusher. I think this is where the Patriots can get their true number one guy. It's between Landon Jackson and Jack Sawyer. I mean, 6'7", 280. That's going to be a guy that's hard to guard. 11.2 pass rush win rate and a 9.3 run stopping rate. We know the Patriots are prioritizing guys who can stop the run, but then you have Jack Sawyer, who had a 17.6 pass rush win rate, but a run stop rate of 5.1%, so a little bit below average. One thing that I really love about players, and you guys are going to hear me reference this all offseason, is I love a guy that statistically has gotten better each and every single year. With Jack Sawyer, you can see that he's gotten significantly better each and every single year. He had an elite season here in 2024. What this tells me is that when you are getting better every single year, it's that you are on an upward trajectory. You are somebody that is coachable. You are someone that takes the advice from your coaching staff and listens and implements it. I think Jack Sawyer, I think he's the pick here. He's someone that I'm very confident has that high motor, can be that number one pass rusher. I think he's a leader. I think he's motivated. In the playoffs, Ohio State went up against Quinn Ewers, and Jack Sawyer had that like iconic scoop and score touchdown that just changed the game for Ohio State. I think that's the type of energy that Jack Sawyer is going to bring to the New England Patriots. Again, run stopping rate isn't great, but I think the Patriots have so many guys on the defense that are going to be good at stopping the run that him being average to slightly below average at stopping the run won't be a massive worry. The Patriots need guys on the roster right now that can get to the quarterback and actually apply that pressure consistently, and Jack Sawyer's a guy who can do that. So we're going to take Jack Sawyer here. Travis Hunter glazing is unnecessary. I think people are glazing Travis Hunter in the chat because people know I'm not as high on him. What I've learned is that when you aren't, I don't even hate on Travis Hunter, but when you are not as high on a player as other people are, there are fans that get really, really pressed. But I would love to go wide receiver here. Rice, I know you're saying wide receiver this time. This is where I would love to go wide receiver, considering we didn't go the last few. So let's see who's still on the board. Yeah. So, oh, no way. Oh, damn. Tom Brady screws the Patriots again. Jalen Noel goes right before the Patriots pick at 68 to the Raiders. That's a heartbreaker. But in reality, if they're drafting Jalen Noel, then maybe Jacoby Myers is available. I'd be calling them up right now saying, hey, you just drafted Jalen Noel. So Jacoby Myers to the Patriots? But we're not doing trades in this draft, so we're not going to do that. So looking at still who's on the board, let's look at who's on the board in general. Dylan Sampson, I think, makes sense for the Patriots at running back. Mason Taylor still on the board at tight end. That's a good receiving option. Ooh, there's some guys I really like on the board here. RJ Harvey is a good running back at a UCF. He has connections back to like Javon Baker. He has that chemistry with him, but RJ Harvey is a very underrated receiving back. I think he could fit that like third down James White role that the Patriots are reportedly looking for. I'm not going to lie. Right now, it's between Dylan Sampson and Jalen Royals. Jalen Royals at, how tall is he? So Jalen Royals at 6 foot, 205 pounds. He can play the outside. He can play the inside, has really good length, has really good footwork. I think that his mechanics are very underrated. He can make some plays in contested catch situations, but this guy's get off at the Senior Bowl was absolutely absurd. Had a contested catch rate of 53.3%. His grade against man coverage was 80 this past season. Drop rate of only 5.2%. So for the most part, a pretty reliable, sure-handed wide receiver, but like I said, I want to make this a little bit more interactive. I know everybody likes Savion Williams. I'm not as big on Savion Williams because I think he's more of a gadget wide receiver, someone who can, line up at inline tight end if you really wanted to. You can play him at slot. You can play him at outside wide receiver. You can put him at H-back. You can kind of use him as like that Cordero Patterson, but it's kind of the same reason that I wasn't in on, oh my God, what's his name from the 49ers? Name's escaping me right now. Deebo Samuel. It's the same reason that I wasn't in on Deebo Samuel is because I don't believe in Josh McDaniels' ability to be able to implement those gadget players correctly. I feel like Josh McDaniels needs guys in the system who have very specific roles, and Savion Williams isn't that guy. He's the type of guy where you have to get creative with him. I just don't trust the Patriots and Josh McDaniels to be the team that does that. So I'm going to kick it to you guys here. Do we want to go Dylan Sampson, the running back out of Tennessee, or do we want to go Jalen Royals, the wide receiver? All right, let's see. Is Cam Scatabo on the board? That's a good question, actually. Let me see. Nah, so Scatabo is off the board, which is kind of surprising. I'm kind of surprised Dylan Sampson is still on the board, to be completely honest with you. I think that's pretty good value, but like I said, we'll go to the chat on this one. Ooh, we got Harris. We got everybody saying Trey Harris. Trey Harris wasn't one of the options, guys. Royals, Harris, Trey Harris, Royals, Sampson, Royals, Trey Harris, Trey Harris. Oh, everyone's going Trey Harris, guys. Damn. Use the other PFF mock draft simulator. There's another PFF mock draft simulator? So it sounds like you guys don't want running back this early, which I guess I understand. I think round 3 is as early as I would go. I think this is a really good running back class, so I wouldn't miss out on drafting a running back. But with what they have in-house already, they might see that as more of like a round 4 type of need. I think Jalen Royals is the better value pick right here. But I understand why people like Trey Harris. I mean, Trey Harris is 6'3", 210-pound guy. According to PFF, this is what they have to say about him. They say Harris projects as an alluring wide receiver 3 type of offense that likes to push the ball downfield. His route tree and separation rates leave something to be desired, but he can keep a defense honest with his field stretching ability. Do they have his 40 time on here? I don't think they do. His grade against man was 95. He had a contested catch rate of 61.5. I think if you take Trey Harris right now, you're giving up on Javon Baker. Let me see Trey Harris's time too. Trey Harris 40 time. Did he have one? Okay, so Trey Harris ran a 4.54. So actually not terrible. Not terrible for a guy his size. I think that Jalen Royals, though, he's a guy that can play inside, outside. He's a little bit more of a technician. I like his route running a little bit more also. So I think if you want Javon Baker, you want to give Javon Baker another chance, I would go with Jalen Royals. But if you guys are completely fine giving up on Javon Baker, but still trying to draft a guy that fits in that same mold of Javon Baker, then Trey Harris is the guy. I don't think Mason. Oh, actually, I do think Mason Taylor's on the board. But I'm thinking like the Patriots need someone who's going to be more of an immediate impactor. And while I like Mason Taylor also is more of a guy that you're thinking of like 2026 because he's tight end 3 for you this season. Yards per hour. You know what? We'll go with your guy. I'm a little bit more of a Jalen Royals fan right here, but we'll go Trey Harris, wide receiver out of Mississippi. Again, I think this is a guy that you're bringing in. I think he has a little bit more upside than a Javon Baker, but he's not a wide receiver 1. He's not a wide receiver 2. I think Trey Harris is another one of those wide receiver 3 type of molds. But again, I think he can be fit in that A.J. Brown type of mold that we know Mike Vrabel is desperately trying to get. They've been in on A.J. Brown. They were in on DK Metcalf. So clearly they're looking for this type of wide receiver, that big body outside X guy that isn't necessarily fast, but he has that contested catch ability and the ability to kind of outbox you with his size. So we'll go with Trey Harris here. And that brings up the Patriots next. Whoa! How about that? So we were talking about drafting Dylan Sampson back with our 69th pick, and we went Trey Harris instead, but Mason Taylor and Dylan Sampson are both still on the board. Wow, that falls perfectly for the Patriots. One thing I do want to look at, though, I do want to look at interior offensive line. I think was Willie Lampkin Willie Lampkin just played all over the interior, actually. So maybe that's a guy that in the later rounds we pair up with Drake Maye. Ooh, Seth McLaughlin, though, center out of Ohio State. That's actually a guy that I like more than Willie Lampkin. That is more of a later round pick. So that's actually a guy that I'm going to target a little bit later on. I feel like they could go potentially early left guard. Oh, early left guard, though. Let me see who's on the board here. No, he played right guard. Jared Wilson played mostly center and right guard. So no one I really like on the board right now to pin in at left guard. So honestly, I'm thinking either Dylan Sampson or Mason Taylor here. Let me see who's still on the board at running back. Because can we get a guy in the 4th? So Jaden Blue ran like, I think it was like the best 40 time for running back. So that's more of your fast guy who can break off like a 40, 50-yard touchdown. Hunter's another guy that I like in the later rounds. ETN is a guy that I like in the later rounds. So, this is tough. It's definitely between Dylan Sampson and Mason Taylor. Dylan Sampson is one of those guys, though, that broke out like hardcore this past season and is somebody that has improved vastly on a year-to-year basis. It's his size. 5'11", 201 pounds. PFF says Sampson is a speedster who pairs explosive with patience and vision. He has big play potential behind any blocking scheme and could develop into a plus receiver, though he must cut down on on fumbles. I'm pretty sure all of you are out on him after you heard that final sentence. Mason Taylor, though. Mason Taylor is a 6'5", 255-pound receiver. If you guys watched his combine, you know that he is a dog in the receiving game. His gauntlet drill was absurd. I mean, for those who don't know what the gauntlet drill is, that's where you're running and you're catching passes from each side. But what a lot of people don't know is in the gauntlet drill, it's also to see how well you can concentrate in not just catching, but also running as perfect of a route as you can. And they do that by seeing how straight you can run, like in a straight line. And he ran almost perfectly in a straight line. Again, I don't think he's going to give you much upside from a blocking standpoint, but I think he can be one of the best receiving tight ends to come out of this draft class. I have him compared to like a Mike Gesicki. That was my pro comp for him. Too early for running back. So it looks like everybody agrees that we should go Mason Taylor here. I'm not against it. Let me see one more thing. So you could go with a guy like Terrence Ferguson. I've seen some people be high on him. We're like in the Patriots system. He has some receiving upside. It also has some blocking upside. I like Gunnar Helm later on in the draft also. He's a guy that I have compared to like a Pat Freiermuth, a guy who can block but also has some receiving upside. A little bit more slow, a little bit more sluggish. He's going to more so catch through contact. I don't want to say I'm completely out on Harold Fannin. If he's there in like the 5th, then I would take a flyer on him. But Harold Fannin is a guy who was supposed to be a much better receiving tight end than a blocking tight end. I asked him at the Senior Bowl what part of his game he's still working on, and he said as a blocker. So with that being said, you would think Harold Fannin is more polished as a receiver. I saw his combine, and bro was slow. He was sluggish. He could barely get around the cones, and I was like, dude, if you can't block, and you're telling me the best part of your game is as a receiver, yet you can barely get in and out of your breaks without knocking a damn cone over, I got some concerns. So I'm a little bit lower on Harold Fannin. Great guy. He projects me more as a tight end too. I have him comped as like a Jonnu Smith. He said he comps his game when I asked him after a Isaiah Likely. I think there's better options on the board, but we do know that Drake Maye loves his tight ends. He loves to operate in the middle of the field. And understanding that Hunter Henry is getting older. You have Austin Hooper brought in on a 1-year deal, but he's also getting older. I think that this is a pretty good tight end class to take a guy a little bit early on to start building for the future. So let's just go with Mason Taylor here. Patriots get big time upside at tight end. So speaking of Harold Fannin is still on the board. So we're at pick 106. What pick do we have up after that? Pick 104. I do want to go Seth McLaughlin, but I do think that we can get him with our next pick. I think we can get him in round 5. So I'm not going to go that here. Let's see who's still on the board. Ooh, there's a guy that I really like that's on the board in the interior of the defensive line. Let's see who's on the board at cornerback also. Kobe Bryant, I know a lot of Patriots fans like him. I like him also. I think he has potential, 6'1", 175 pounds. I don't think the Patriots have a massive pressing need at cornerback, but I do think that Kobe Bryant is going to be on the Patriots board that's not reporting anything. I just feel like he makes sense in their system. He also is really good against the run. That's probably the best part to his game, as you see here, 91.3 run defensive grade. Again, we know Mike Vrabel, Terrell Williams, they're going to prioritize guys who at any position defensively are good against the run. They don't want guys defensively who are going to be liabilities in the run game. So I do think Kobe Bryant is on their board, but do we really want to go cornerback in the 4th round? Is that a little bit high? I do think Alex Austin is a good cornerback 3, but they might look at it and say, we do want depth. So Kobe Bryant is definitely an option, but I also like a guy here by the name of Aeneas Peebles. I do think we should go back to the defensive route here. But I really like Aeneas Peebles coming out of Virginia Tech, 6'1", 290. He's smaller. He's more of a situational interior pass rusher. He balled out, though, at the Senior Bowl. Like, there was a point on, I believe it was day 2 of the Senior Bowl, where he made back-to-back plays on the ball carrier behind the line of scrimmage. So a guy who can still make his name heard in the run game, but also had really good reps in his one-on-one matchups, won the majority of his one-on-one matchups in terms of pass rush. So I think that this is a later round, mid-round guy in Aeneas Peebles out of Virginia Tech that could be a really good situational defensive lineman, come in on kind of those later down, like third down situations and kind of rush the passer a little bit. Think of him more as like your Carl Davis, your name's escaping me right now, just signed with the Steelers. I don't know why his name's escaping right now. I can't think of him, but again, more of that situational guy that's going to be depth on the defensive line. So this is where I'm going to kick it to you guys. Do you guys want to go Aeneas Peebles, get some depth on the interior of the defensive line, or do you guys want to get depth at cornerback by going Kobe Bryant? By the way, the Patriots and Stephon Diggs are keeping in contact per Jordan Schultz. So it sounds like Diggs did leave New England without a contract, but they are still in contact. Trying to read the chat, see what you guys think here. So we'll recap our picks here real quick, just so you guys are aware. So we went Will Campbell in round 1 at pick 4. Keep in mind, guys, we aren't doing trades. Then we addressed edge by going Jack Sawyer in the 2nd round. In the 3rd round, we went Trey Harris, wide receiver out of Mississippi. With our next 3rd round pick, we went Mason Taylor, tight end out of LSU, with big-time receiving upside. So the Patriots are really building around Drake Maye. They get their franchise left tackle. At worst, they get their franchise left guard, both of which are massive holes for the Patriots right now. They get a guy who they're hoping to be that contested catch guy on the outside that they thought they were getting with Devontae Parker. They thought they were getting with N'Keal Harry, and they thought they were getting with Javon Baker. And then Mason Taylor might not be a massive impactful player for you right now, but he's going to give you big time receiving upside in 2026 and beyond. Use this as more of a learning year, as a redshirt year, and then he takes over for you in 2026 as your tight end too. But like I said, I would love to go back to defense here. We have been offensive heavy, especially early on, which is something I think they'll do, but I don't think they're going to completely negate going defense. So like I said, I'm between Kobe Bryant and Aeneas Peebles right now. We do know they want to heavily address the trenches. So with that being said, I'm actually going to go with Aeneas Peebles right now. I think he's one of the best guys, at least on the board right now, from an interior defensive line standpoint. In rounds 4, he had a good combine. He had a good Senior Bowl. He is rising up draft boards right now. And from what I saw, I think that he is coachable. Again, he's one of those players, you come back, you look at this, he has gotten significantly better on a year-to-year basis, which again shows me that he is someone who is coachable. He is a little bit smaller. I don't necessarily hate that, though. I think it's perfectly fine to have an interior defensive lineman that is a little bit smaller, because sometimes when you're going up against bigger interior offensive linemen or just offensive linemen in general, being a smaller guy, sometimes it's harder for those bigger offensive linemen to get down lower, to get pad level with you, and that can actually give you an advantage. So I like Aeneas Peebles here. I'm going to go with him. I do think there's upside, and honestly, by the time you're getting to round 4, you're just taking shots on guys anyway. All right, coming up here in round 5, this is exactly where I know I want to go, actually. I want to go Seth McLaughlin. Now, Seth McLaughlin, coming out of Ohio State, I love guys who play, especially on the O-line. I love guys who play at a high competition level, coming from the collegiate level, transitioning to the NFL, because I think that you're going to translate a little bit better. Seth McLaughlin is a guy that I don't know if he's going to start for you year one, but I think he'll at least be in the mix. I think he's someone who has a little bit more developmental traits than a guy who's going to be an immediate starter. But 6'4", 305 pounds. PFF says that McLaughlin's experience and toughness could be an asset to an offensive line room, but his status in 2025 will be questionable due to his injury. So again, a guy that you're not necessarily expecting to be your starter year one, week one. But I think beyond what you're going to get, I think there's a lot of upside here. I think the only reason you're getting him in the 5th round is because of that injury. I think if he didn't have that injury, he would have been, a round 3, maybe even a round 2 guy. So the Patriots are getting really good value here because of injury. You put in Bradbury for 1 year, and you let McLaughlin learn behind him and get healthy. I actually love this addition for the Patriots, and I love the value. So now the Patriots have their future at center. And now we're going into our 7th round picks. Give it a second because we don't have a 6th round pick. So, all right. Wow, this is taking forever. This is on turbo, by the way, guys. I want that to be known. This is on turbo. Are we okay? Why are we not picking a play right now? I think it's crapping out on us here, guys. I don't know what's happening right now. I think it's stuck on the Seth McLaughlin pick. Hello? What's happening right now? Okay, what if I force a trade or something? What if I give them this and this and I force it and then we're back on the board? Seriously? Well, yo, what's happening right now? PFF's crashing out on us. That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, guys, it looks like instead we're going to be doing a 5-round mock draft because I broke PFF. So I'm sorry that for anybody who might be doing a mock draft right now via PFF, I actually broke it. So you can't do a mock draft anymore. I don't know what I did, guys. I swear. I think I might have made it simulate too fast, too quick. I asked it to basically sim a round and a half on turbo speed, and I think I broke it. By the way, I know that I made a stupid trade right now, but that was just to force it to try to unbreak it, and it didn't work. See, so I'm forcing it. So it should realistically. Oh, wait. Did it work? No, dude, it's still broken. Dude, what did I do? Wait, hold up. I think I unbroke it. Oh. I spoke too soon. What? Hold up. Let's try this again, then. Force the trade. I don't have enough picks to do this for every time. Okay, hold up. Okay. Force the trade. Resume the draft. Let's go! We're back on the board, baby. We're back on the board. Colby is the best general manager any Patriots fan can hope to have in the future. Amen. Apparently not according to two high school Patriots fans who were coming at me on Twitter because I wasn't as big on Stephon Diggs as they were. Apparently me saying the Patriots should be in on Keenan Allen and Tyler Lockett just as much as Stephon Diggs. Apparently is a terrible take, and it upset high school Patriots fans who also wanted Marvin Harrison Jr. instead of Drake Maye, but that's all right. That's all right. All right, guys, we're back on the board. All right, I unbroke it, sort of. We'll see how long this works. But let's recap our picks so far, just so everybody knows. Round 1, we go Will Campbell. Round 2, we go Jack Sawyer. Round 3, we went Trey Harris. Our next third-round pick, we go Mason Taylor. Round 4, we go Aeneas Peebles. Round 5, we get our future center in Seth McLaughlin out of Ohio State. Likely isn't going to play for you in 2025, but that's okay because you have Bradbury to pin in for you as a veteran. Seth McLaughlin takes over as your future center in 2026. No 6th-round picks, as we know, just 3 7ths. So let's see if we can hit on any players here. Let's see. Jaquavius Marks here at running back. I don't hate this. Again, in the 7th round, you're just taking shots. So honestly, I'm past the days of Kevin Harris. Okay. No shots to Kevin Harris, but those days are done. Okay. Why not bring in a guy like Jaquavius Marks, who can at least give you depth at running back? He's not going to make the roster for you more than likely, but he's going to be a camp body. He's going to play in the preseason. He's going to be on your practice squad. Maybe he gets elevated throughout the season. I like the potential with this guy too. So in the 7th round, a guy who's going to play some special teams for you, let's take him. Jaquavius Marks, baby. I feel like we got to take a quarterback though too, right? Like the Elliott Wolf way is taking a quarterback every single year. If the Patriots really do end up trading Milton Williams, then the Patriots are probably going to be in the market for another not running back, but another quarterback. Because more teams, more than ever, are having 3 quarterbacks on the active roster. What time is it? 49? I got time before Draftaholics. Maybe we'll take another shot at tackle. Xavier Truss. I mean, that's just a great name. All right, has some experience all over the offensive line, coming from Ohio State too, the Georgia Bulldogs, baby. Or what am I saying? Ohio State, coming from Georgia. Excuse me. What am I saying? My mind's everywhere right now. But he has experience playing left tackle, left guard, and right tackle as a 7th round selection. Man, you can play literally anywhere. I like it. Oh, damn, not again. That's crazy. That's crazy. I broke it again. So apparently anytime I have to sim it, like past 5 teams, it breaks again. Wow. We got one more pick and it's crashing now. That's crazy. That's crazy. Guys, make sure you leave a big like on the video. It really helps me out. Let me... Oh, dear God. Let's go. Oh my gosh. What's going on here? Dude, someone send me PFF's number. Oh, wait, I hit the wrong button. Hopefully this doesn't happen during Draftaholics. Yeah! What? One pick before? For it? Bro, that's just wrong. That's just wrong, dude. That's crazy. That's freaking crazy. All right, final pick, considering we traded like every 2026 draft pick we have. All right. What about Jalen Walker? Ooh, this might be a little late round steal. Jalen Walker coming from Indiana. Now, he's probably going to be more of a special teamer for you, but I mean, you know, that missed tackle rate you don't like, 13.8%. It's a little bit wild, but a guy who has some pass rush upside. He's a good run defender. Not the best in coverage, but the best part to his game is as a pass rusher and as a run defender that literally perfectly fits the mold of a Mike Vrabel, Terrell Williams linebacker. This was a guy that showed a lot of promise back in 2022, had an elite season. Can the Patriots get him back to playing that level of football again? 6'1", 218. I like this as your final pick in the 7th round, literally just taking a flyer. That's crazy. All right. Well, you know what? They're not going to draft our draft. That's okay. We'll just recap it right here. So the New England Patriots, guys, want to say this one more time for anybody who's just coming in. We are not making any trades in this mock draft 1.0. So in round 1, we stayed pat at number 4. It was between Ted McMillan and Will Campbell. We said, let's get our future on the offensive line. Everything offensively starts with the offensive line. Whether you want to run the ball effectively, whether you want to pass the ball effectively, all starts with having a good O-line. Patriots get their franchise left tackle. For those who really don't care about how good of a player Will Campbell is, you just care about his arm length. At the very least, the Patriots are getting their franchise left guard, which is still a massive hole for this team. So either way, you're filling one of your biggest needs in the trenches, which we know the Patriots are going to address heavily this offseason. Now, in round 2, they go back to addressing the trenches, but on the defensive side of the football with Jack Sawyer, a guy that isn't bad against the run, but he's way better as a pass rusher, has a high motor, made really good plays, like big-time plays in the college football playoffs just a couple of months ago. Patriots need their number 1 edge rusher. I think Harold Landry is a good veteran. He's more of a number 2. Harold Landry is a finisher. The Patriots need like an elite, consistent pass rusher on that D-line, and that is Jack Sawyer. Round 3, we went with Trey Harris, wide receiver out of Mississippi. It was between him and Jalen Royals. We took it to the chat. You guys wanted Trey Harris significantly over Jalen Royals. I probably would have went with Jalen Royals personally, but you guys picked Trey Harris, and that is okay. Pretty much signifying that Javon Baker's time in New England is up only after 1 year. Like I alluded to when I made the pick, the Patriots, they've been in on DK Metcalf. They've been in on A.J. Brown. So they clearly want that big outside X receiver who can help push the ball down the field, can make contested catches, and that guy is Trey Harris. He's more so slated to be like a wide receiver 3 to wide receiver 2 at best. I don't think he has any real wide receiver 1 upside. But again, you're just trying to get playmakers at wide receiver at this point. With our next 3rd round pick, we're still building around Drake Maye here. We went tight end Mason Taylor out of LSU. Guy was baller at the combine. His gauntlet drill was easily the best out of all tight ends. Massive, massive receiving upside. Pretty pedestrian as a blocker. Not going to give you much there, but I mean, you need a future. You need a future at tight end. You need a future receiving upside at tight end, and Mason Taylor is going to be that guy. In round 4, we address the interior of the defensive line with Aeneas Peebles out of Virginia Tech, a guy who's getting better each and every single year, an attribute I love in any player that I'm going to draft. Someone who has shown flashes at developing against the run, but is significantly better, at least right now, when it comes to rushing the passer. A little bit small, a little bit undersized, but I think that's okay. Starting in rounds 4, this is essentially where you're trying to get some diamonds in the rough. You're kind of just taking hits on players, hoping that, you're going to get something out of them. Something I will say, too, is that Mike Vrabel was at the Senior Bowl. Literally saw him walk right past my eyes. So if I'm watching Aeneas Peebles and I'm seeing this guy stand out, you better believe that Mike Vrabel's seen the same damn thing. Aeneas Peebles, round 4 to the New England Patriots. In round 5, the New England Patriots get their future center with Seth McLaughlin, a guy that, if he was healthy, would have been more like a 3rd round pick. So I think this is good value for the Patriots getting him in the 5th. He is injured, so he's probably not playing for you, at least not till later in the season here in 2025. That is okay. You're building for the future here, especially as a 5th round pick. You have the veteran Bradbury start for you at center this season. McLaughlin rests up. He gets healthy. He learns the playbook. He takes over for you in 2026. Patriots, no 6th round picks. We go on to the 7th round picks. We just took a shot at Jaquavius Marks. Patriots, they add some depth there at running back, a guy you're taking a shot on, not expecting him to be your future at running back. But it is running back, right? Like if you're going to hit on any position and get a starter out of them in the 7th round, it's going to be at the running back position. You're kind of just expecting this as someone, if he does make the roster, he's going to be a depth piece for you, a situational guy, someone who can play on special teams, but kind of just getting in new depth pieces for the offseason. You need guys for training camp. You need guys for mini camp. You need guys for OTAs. You need guys for the preseason. And you're going to need guys also who are going to be on your practice squad. And I think Marks can be that guy. With our next 7th round pick, we went tackle Xavier Truss out of Georgia. This is a guy that has experience literally all over the offensive line outside of center, right guard, right tackle, left tackle. If they can develop him at any one of these positions, you feel good about it, even if he's a swing tackle. And the fact that he can play, 4 out of 5 positions on the O-line, I think significantly rises the potential that you're going to be able to get something out of him. Really like that as a 7th round pick. And then with our final 7th round pick here, our final pick in this draft, we went Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Indiana. This is a guy that in 2022, I believe it was 2023, 22. Let me make sure I got that right. Yeah, in 2022, had an elite season, showed a lot of promise. He's the type of linebacker that's good against the run. He's good at rushing the passer. He's a little bit more pedestrian in terms of coverage, but that exactly fits the type of mold of linebacker that Mike Vrabel is looking for. As your final 7th round pick, I actually really like that value. The Patriots in this draft, especially early on, heavily address the trenches, heavily address getting Drake Maye to help, and then later on, you're just taking shots at guys that I think fit the mold of the type of players offensively and defensively that you're trying to go after. Guys, let me know what you think about this mock draft in the comment section below, whether you're watching it live, whether you're watching it back. This took a lot longer than I thought. This was only supposed to be about a half-hour video, but it's almost an hour because PFF was crapping on us, not letting us make our picks. So make sure you guys hit that like button on the way out and say a prayer that next time we do our mock draft, probably do another one next week that, PFF doesn't act up. Make sure you guys go ahead to Roundtable Sports YouTube channel. We have Draftaholics starting in 2 minutes. So I actually got to go rush over there right now. As always, appreciate you guys beyond words. And until next time, go Pats, baby.